Thank you so much for tuning in to P2P Relates, where we talk about all things relationships. I'm Pat Renfro. As promised, we're continuing the mini-series, and this is tip 2. I'm writing a book called Marriage is Not, K-N-O-T, for Punks. And there are 12 things that I think you should think about before you say I do. So these tips will coincide with that. And this is tip 2. Show me the money, honey. You want me? You want us to go somewhere and have a permanent long-term relationship? I need to know financially where we stand, how we think about it, how we pursue it, what our family history is, what our goals are. Those are things we need to talk about, because the worst thing that can happen is we fall in love, we get very committed emotionally to one another, and then at the end we want to talk about money. Now, if you're wealthy, if you have amassed a great estate and you're a little paranoid or cautious about who you connect with because you don't want them to get with you for your money, that's totally different. But I mean, in all cases, no matter what, if you are looking to spend a long-term commitment with someone, you need to find out where you all stand as it relates to money. So as I talk about it, I'm talking about both parties. I'm talking about you as well as your partner. That way I won't have to say you and them over and over again. So when we talk about money, we can't obviously say, well, how much do you make, and what do your parents make, and what do they own, and what is their net worth? That would not work. And in all of these cases, when you are doing an exploration, you've got to be creative about what it is you're looking for. When you've met their family, you've met the mate, the more information you can get, the better you're going to be able to make a decision. And it shouldn't be a deceptive type of thing. Both of you all should desire to get answers to these questions. When I got ready to get married, my husband and I were engaged, and we had a wonderful community of support. We had wonderful people around us who rejoiced about our union to be. And so they gave us a co-ed wedding shower. And as we began to play games, we had all these questions we had to answer. Oh my goodness. It wasn't until I started looking at the fact that I didn't have a lot of those answers that I realized we had rocky roads ahead of us. Another thing that happened was once we were married, I was telling my husband how I wanted to do the Dave Ramsey program where we could pay off our house in 7 years. And he looked at me and he said, I know math just as well as Dave Ramsey, and I don't need to follow no stinking Dave Ramsey. We'll have our own plan and we'll come up with how we're going to do it. And at that point, I couldn't really convince him to change his mind. He just wanted to be his own person. But I needed to know that ahead of time, not after we said I do. Our society has not done a good job of preparing us for marriage. Our society demonstrates marriage in a very superficial way. So when we see a couple, they look cute, they look happy, they look in love, and especially if they've been married over 30 years. We know that marriage is work. We have a semblance of an understanding of that, and we look at them with such awe. But the reality is, it took a lot of work for them to get to that point. And depending on how well they were prepared to be with each other, depends on how rocky or challenging or difficult or pleasant that overall marriage has been. And more often than not, we look at people and relationships like we do a new car. When you first get in, it smells so good. And oh my goodness, you just enjoy that fresh smell, that new car smell for as long as it lasts. But I tell you what, no matter how clean and neat and organized you are, the day will come when that car doesn't smell that way anymore. I don't know what they do to make that. I guess it's just ultra clean. Every piece of paneling and fabric and leather is clean and unused, and and it just has a certain smell to it, but it wears out. And so do all the aspects of relationships that enamor you at first. So knowing where you all stand with the money is critical. I mentioned them at the beginning, so I just want to go through them in detail. The first one is know your value around money. That's first and foremost. Just because we need money to make it doesn't mean everybody sees it the same way. Some people have come from money, and the last thing they want to see is making a big deal about money. Other people have barely gotten through life because money was so scarce. And now that they've got it, they just hoard it, or they idolize it, or they spend it like water. Some people save, and other people are like, hey, all I got is today. I don't know what tomorrow brings. And so knowing how we value money, how we see money, what we think money is for, and how we think we should manage and use the money, that's a conversation to really understand. And it will be important to do it in such a way where both of you are neutrally able to inform each other. Maybe you do an exercise first, and that exercise is, let's write it down. We're going to journal about it, and then we're going to come back and share with each other, or we're going to switch papers and let each other read what your values are. Maybe we come up with our own questions and we agree on them, and then we go forward to answer those questions and then share with each other. Because sometimes a person may want the other person so badly that they will even they'll even shift their thoughts around money to align more with their lover because they just want their person. They don't think it's important. But your values are important because they're core to who you are. So as you think about a particular thing, you don't want to be swayed by the person that you're in love with. You want to be your own person, because I'm telling you, just like that new car smell, the day will come when that person will be more ordinary to you than they are now. They'll get on your nerves more than they did now. And you won't care about the fact that they were so cute, or they were so sexy, or they were so friendly and fun. They were so romantic, because that money will need to be managed the way you believe it's supposed to be managed, but yet they have a different psychology around it. So that's the first one. What is the value? The next one is family history. What is the family history with money? Again, we're not talking about net worth. What is your net worth? What are your parents' net worth? How much is that house they live in? Because that's inappropriate. That's too much too soon. But you do want to understand how they see money, how they amass the money. What are some of their practices around managing money, or do they have any? Is their money generational, or is it new money? Like they got into school, got great degrees in a profession that's a professional profession, like a lawyer, doctor, business owner, entrepreneur, very successfully, and that's why they have what they have. Or are they blue collar workers? It just depends. So finding that out and understanding what that means for them helps you understand your partner, because we can't grow up in a household for 18 years minimum and not be influenced by what we've been exposed to. So that's why finding out what the family's ideology and practices are around money is very, very telling. The third one is, what are your personal goals as it relates to what do you want to see as a couple? Do you want to own a home, or do you want to live in a condo, or do you want to just rent because you want to travel a lot? Do you want a tiny house? Do you want a mansion? What type of cars really matter to you? Are you the type of person that leases a car and gets the newest thing and changes up every 2 years so you can have the greatest? How much money do you think is reasonable for buying a car, for the type of car you want? Will you share a car? Will you have your individual cars? These are all things that, as I'm talking, you may think, oh, nobody does that, or nobody would need that, or of course you need two cars. You never know. It depends on what your goals are as a couple and as an individual. What are your dreams? What are you assuming your life together would look like financially? What would it take? What do you need? Are you going to travel a whole lot? Are you going to do road trips? Are you a homebodies where you really don't see yourself having a lot of expenses, dealing with going places? You just want to be together and have people over. You need to talk about those things, and they involve money. So the more you can think about those things and get those answers, the better clarity you're going to have. You want to know that you're on the same page. You don't want to be surprised after you say I do and then have all these things to work through. They say statistically, one of the greatest problems, the two greatest problems in marriage is sex and money. Money, that's something you can deal with and you can explore and you can address beforehand. And finally, the last category I would encourage you with is your salary. Now, again, you shouldn't wait until you're so in love that nothing could tear you apart and to talk about money. Once you've gone on 3 to 5 dates and you can tell that you all really, really like each other, it wouldn't be a bad idea to start the conversation at that point. So therefore, when I'm telling you about the importance of these 4 categories, I'm not asking you to go into details that are kind of imposing. I'm more so asking you to principally find out where each other are. So when you talk about salary, I'm not asking you to ask them how much they make. If they want to divulge that, that's great. If they're not ready, you should respect that. But you still need to understand what their career is, where they're headed with their career. Is it a doctor, a lawyer, entrepreneur? Is it administration? Is it leadership? Is it blue collar? Are you going to be a business for yourself as an entrepreneur? Are you going to climb the ladder, or are you just happy with what it is you're doing? Whatever that is, you need to know, because that's going to determine consistency of income, insurance coverage, affordability for your dreams of how you want to live, going back up to goals. So all that can tell you that. Now, doing specifics, that comes in time and as we build trust and we really understand each other. But understanding career-wise, how will we most likely generate the income that we will need for the goals that we've established? That is something that you can talk about without feeling violated or feeling like too much too soon. So I hope those things have helped you. I also made a short down below, so you can check that out as well if you just want a quickie. But share this with others and give me some comments below. What I didn't think about, or what would you have a problem with? What would bother you? Because we're going to be doing these 12 tips. So you got 10 more to go, 1 each week. Hit the subscribe button, tap the bell if you want to be notified when I upload, which I do every week. And in the meantime, have a wonderful, wonderful week. And thank you so much for tuning in.